Greetings, Gibbers. Welcome back to another video. Or should I say, welcome back to another talking head style sort of video, where I will make one probably pretty poor attempt at making a podcast-like recording that I can upload to YouTube, and anyone, wherever they might be at the very time, just can go around and listen to. I didn't really quite have a theme, necessarily, of how I wanted to do these videos. My opinions, in all fairness, I don't think they matter that much. I don't think I really have that much interesting to say, but every once in a while I have these things inside of my dome where I could talk about it. I think about stuff. I feel like I want to talk to an audience or a group of people, get my own thoughts out there, like floating around on the big seas, essentially, the big interwebs. And I think this would be a good way to do it. So hopefully you want to tag along, and thanks for tuning into the video. Today, or tonight, as it's pretty much close to 3 a.m. when I'm recording this, I had this thought on my mind for a while now regarding Windows, out of all things. You know, the good old Microsoft Corporation. I know there's a lot of people out there where it's like, oh, I sit on a Mac. I don't really care that much about Windows. And I stopped using Windows when I was like 12. Or you have these people where they are full-on Linux enthusiasts. And in all fairness, I can kind of understand where people sort of spiral off in their own directions. They might like specific companies more, or like their products more, or their operating systems more. I myself never really liked Mac OS. Like, I never really liked Apple products at all. And I've tried to dab my feet into, or should I say potos, into the Linux distros a little bit. Like I had Linux Mint installed, both with Cinnamon and KDE, I think you call them wrappers, several years ago as my main boot, but it never really stuck with me. I used it on a laptop too, but at least back then, I couldn't quite make the move. I never felt at home in Linux distros, let's put it that way. Why I'm even mentioning this right now is it kind of dawned on me a few weeks ago, or like at least a week ago, how we're kind of ending up with an end of an era, if I might even put it that way. It has slowly been climbing to, or like falling. It's been a decline in that direction for quite some years now. This is nothing new, but to me, it's more dawned on me. I don't really necessarily want to take the approach as like, oh, Windows fucking sucks, even though it kind of does to some extent, you know, and I don't want to be like, oh, Linux is so amazing, oh, go Linux, or Mac OS is poo-poo-doo-doo. I actually just want to talk a little bit about Windows and what it has meant to me, like using it on my computers, the sort of like purpose, like what I see it like every time like I boot up the PC. I don't want to sound like too nerdy, but hopefully you guys can relate a little bit, or you can understand the sort of point of view, like where I'm approaching this from, and why I'm starting to really, really have a problem with Microsoft and Windows as a whole. And we're really ending up closer to the end of an era. So, you know, I'm a 90s kid. You know, I know all about the stuff with the cassette tapes, VHSs. You know, I even remember like having Walkmans and stuff like that. Never really quite got that part where it's like, oh, I used an Amiga or a Commodore or something like that. You know, it was all Windows computers. We had our consoles, we had our technology. You know, it's fun. Like growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s, I'm happy that I did. I'm glad that I did. I don't consider myself like a really old man right now, but you know, it was a good time. A good time. I remember one of the first PCs that my father brought home from work. I think, I am not fully certain though, but it probably was some sort of refurbished old work PC of some sort that they probably got for cheap. And it had Windows 95 on it, as far as I'm aware. So at least it had that, you know. So I had used the PC before, I'm pretty sure, like probably at like some, at like maybe it was like at school or something, like, you know, preschool kind of stuff. Like some Windows NT version or whatever it was, playing some weird maths games or something. But my first experience at home, at least, was a Windows 95 PC. You know, that kind of thing where if you try to shut down the PC, you would actually get a black screen with orange text saying, like, it's now safe to turn off the computer or something like that. You know, I barely remember it. growing up, we, I had that sort of PC. We got Windows 98 PC after that, and that was slow as shit eventually. You could still play some games on it, but trying to play like Toy Story 2 when it got released, and got that through like our old snail mail or like subscription from that my mother got for me. That game didn't work. I was kind of sad about that. I remember all the games were not working, like NASCAR Revolution or whatever it was. I think I looked it up the other day. That was actually the name of the game. I had the box and everything, super excited to play it, but the computer was just too slow. Couldn't handle it. Essentially, we've grown up with Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows ME. We had Millennium Edition on our super duper family computer. And then they got installed with Windows XP, because I think like one of my sisters had friends that installed Windows XP without, at least my knowledge. I wasn't that tech savvy back then, so it's not like I really had any influence. I sat on my PlayStation 1, that was my kind of thing, PlayStation 1 and Game Boy. But I'm not meant to get completely sidetracked here. Essentially, growing up on Windows, like most of the Windows operating systems, I had Windows XP PC in my room, as an early teen, and played on that, and had my own account on that. Like, it was my PC. And my very first like PC that I owned, that I got, as a gift from my father, it was Windows Vista on it. I loved the shit out of that PC. I loved having the PC in my room when it was Windows XP. I loved having my Windows Vista PC. I played Oblivion and Crysis on it, and sat around and talked on MSN, days in and days out, nights in and nights out even. And, it didn't stop. Windows 7, had that on my first own gaming PC that I built myself in my own little home. Stuff like that. I am a Windows user through and through. All the little tips and tricks. I can fix my own PCs for most parts. I can sort myself out if something breaks. I enjoy the operating system, generally. But enough of me rambling about like just nostalgic stuff about, having all the different operating systems like many of you guys. Because if you're a little bit tech savvy, you're tech nerdy, or you enjoy technology, or you like your PC, you do a lot of stuff on the PC, at least if you're around my age or even younger or older, whatever, you've probably grown up with a lot of different Windows operating systems even. The thing is now, as of late or lately, as time goes on, Windows has really changed their tactic. It's not so much about being just an operating system on your PC. One thing that really bothers me, or actually is sort of the reason why I'm even making this video right now, because it's kind of like what tipped the glass, what broke the camel's back, if I may put it that way, back, is how damn tricky Microsoft has made it, or trying to make it, just to make a local account on your computer. Might sound a little bit funny, considering all the things they've been doing with Windows 10, for example. The telemetry stuff, like tracking and all the data and collecting what you're doing on the internet, what you're doing on your PC. Like, no privacy whatsoever. Privacy goes straight out the fucking window. And it has really been like that for, well, probably in that for a little while, but Windows 10 really made that a big deal. Like, it's tracking everything you do for most part. And you need to shut down so many things. If you install Windows 10 today, you need to turn off pretty much everything, because they want to track everything you do. And even if you turn that off inside of settings, it still tracks you in many different ways, shapes and forms. I don't really want to make it a big case about like, oh, but that's fine, I don't have anything to hide. Google tracks me, Google, everything is like that. And in a sense, yes, I get that, because I use Google services. I have a Gmail account, I have my YouTube accounts. It's up, this video is probably going to be uploaded on there unless I regret sounding too cringe or something. And I can't be too hypocritical about that, because, data, everything goes everywhere. I have like some weird Chinese cheapo brand phone because I can't afford anything else. I'm poor shit. That kind of thing. I go where I need to go. I buy the things I need to buy. But it really bothers me how much they are tracking and how much work you need to do just to get rid of that. I kind of been able to work around it for most parts. You can decrapify Windows. There are tools that helps you do that. You can turn things off for most parts. But one thing that I really consider that sort of, this is one step too far, Microsoft. You're really taking it one step too far. And it comes with local accounts. growing up, having your own account on Windows is really nice. I've used my computer and my local account, I use it more like stepping into a different world, I never seen the computer as plainly, oh, I'm just going to be doing my real life stuff on the computer and be my real life self. Fuck everything that has to do with Facebook. Having all your real life contacts and stuff there. Like, why would I want to be contacted by my real life family when I log on my computer? Why do I want to do real life boring stuff when I'm on my computer? It's a hobby. It's a relaxation place for me. It's where I go to recover. It's where I go to go away. Now, it's not that I ignore reality completely. Don't get me wrong. But having a local account means more than just having a name and then clicking on it and signing in. It's sort of like a principle. Microsoft is pushing really hard for you to just have an email account. And that's for good, like for reasons. And I'm not going to say it's for good reasons, but for reasons that I'll probably explain a little bit later. But they want you to sign into your Outlook account or Hotmail or whatever it is that you might be using, a Microsoft account essentially. They made it trickier and they sort of like pushed towards it in Windows 10. Like, move away from local accounts. You get prompts every once in a while. Things like if you want to have backups, if you want to have a recovery image, they require you to sign into a Microsoft account, essentially, which is a feature that shouldn't be necessary. There are things, sure, you can make a recovery if you lose your password or you can't log in or someone tries to steal your account or whatever. Sure, you can use your Hotmail or Outlook account and you can get back on the computer by using it, essentially. But why would you need to sign into an Outlook or a Microsoft account in order to just use a recovery image that's on a partition on your hard drive? You just want to reset Windows. You just want to make recovery on your Windows. Why do you need to sign into a Microsoft account? That makes zero fucking sense to me. They send prompts, essentially, just getting updates from Microsoft updates, like Windows updates. Oh yeah, by the way, in order to finish setup or whatever, sign into your Microsoft account. I don't want to fucking do that. I want to use my own computer the way I intended to use it, which is just a local account. You're just the operating system. That's it. That's your job. You're not meant to be handling all my accounts. Like, sure enough, I have Outlook accounts. I have Microsoft accounts. I have several different emails, which are Hotmails and Outlooks. Like that's fine. But when I go on my computer, it's the PC and I need operating system on it. That's it. And it's all boiling down to a lot of turning Microsoft and Windows itself into a subscription-based service. And we're slowly getting there, my friends. Very slowly, but they are making sure they're taking the right path here. Because it's all about the money. Now, this is not new news. I'm not coming here and breaking some sort of wide world web news here with, oh, Microsoft, they're turning it into subscription-based. This is old talk. Windows and Microsoft, they've been talking about this for ages. I'm not even joking. Now, I'm not fully certain here, but I'm pretty sure right before Windows 10 got released, sometime, 2015-ish. Don't remember. There's some sort of conference or whatever. Some sort of developer. I don't know their name. I don't remember. You can look it up on the web. But they made mentions then about how they're intending to turn Windows 10 into the last operating system and more like focusing on a subscription-based kind of software. That's like plans they have had for ages, essentially. Clearly, things didn't end up exactly the way they wanted, though, because they made plans for Windows 11. Windows 11 is out right now. And Windows 10, it sort of hits end of life or end of support next year in October. 10 years. Because 10 years is usually what Windows or Microsoft gives their operating systems. Now, there are some exceptions. I believe Windows XP had official support for 12 years. They had 10 years, but then they extended it for 2 years. And I think partly because so many businesses and other various government-run places had so many computers and systems running Windows XP. I'm pretty sure there are shitloads of computers out in the wild still using Windows XP, if I'm going to be completely frank with you guys. But we can't really believe or trust that that's going to be the case with Windows 10. And even if it's the case with Windows 10, eventually everyone is going to be forced due to the support, software support. It's not necessarily security updates, all those sort of things. We're not going to be able to stick on the old operating systems forever. Technically, yes. There are ways you can hop on a computer today, use Windows XP, update a browser that runs like Firefox that runs on Windows XP and get on the internet. But, you know, it's not going to be a good experience. It's not going to be a safe experience. And yeah, there's many holes in it right now, you know. Windows 11 is essentially going to be the way to go moving forward in the future. We can sit around, we can probably install Windows 10 today. It's not a problem. Windows 10 works fine. It's going to work fine for probably a couple of more years, but the official support, it's going to end in October next year. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't want to make the move. I feel like this is getting close to an end of an era. Technically, yes, there are ways. If you install Windows 11, you can bypass and make local accounts, but they made it very tricky, and nothing says that you will be able, or like, there are no promises that you'll be able to stick with a local account. Take that away and assign me to an email address. I'm pretty much just signing into an email account. I'm signing into Windows, Microsoft, email, Hotmail, Outlook. I want to be myself, you know, I want to be my own identity. I want to decide whatever username I'm going to have, whatever avatar I'm going to have. You know, I don't want it to be a case where I log into my Hotmail, because if I really wanted to log into my Hotmail, I would. Growing up all those years ago, there's something magical about just signing into your own account. Being on your computer. Whether it's like you're going to chat with your friends over MSN, or you're going to edit some videos, maybe play some games. The computer is essentially an extension of yourself and whatever it is that you're doing on the internet. And by having some big corporation, some big software company forcing you to sign into an email just to use their operating system, it feels so backwards to me. I mean, even Mac OS nowadays, they have very simple step where you can just press skip. I'm pretty sure you still don't need to sign into some Apple ID. Granted, their entire operating system is sort of built around having an Apple ID and using features in App Store and stuff like that. So they kind of have the advantage there for sure. It makes sense that Microsoft wants to have it that way, where you also sign in. But forcing it, I really don't feel is the right way. People that are using Windows, they use Windows for a reason. And they're probably stuck with Windows for a reason. This is sort of like punching them straight in the face to some extent. Tracking and stuff, of course, it wasn't any better. But for some reason, this whole account thing is really where I feel like they pulled the last straw. Windows 11 is not necessarily a good operating system. You know, they've been keeping the tracking on, forcing you to sign into accounts. They are blocking just modifications. Like if you want to have a proper start menu, you know, similar to Windows 7 or XP or whatever it is that you might like, they're forcing you to use their start menu with now probably ads in it. Like this is another thing that's becoming really big lately, how Microsoft is planning on adding ads to the start menu. In your search results, they've done it before, you know, all with the Bing browser and all the AI stuff. Essentially, everything is going so much south, and you're not able to or allowed to really use the operating system the way you want to use it. Where are the options, really? Well, moving over to something like Linux would certainly be a solution, wouldn't it? But moving over to Linux is not like an easy, straightforward path either. And I really want to use myself an example here, right? I sit around the computer. I chill on the computer a lot. I like to edit videos. I like to play games. And I mean, sure, yes, Steam, Valve, they have done a huge effort in making it so you can play so many games easily using the Proton layer in Steam nowadays. You know, there's so many games that are compatible on Linux right now in the moment, compared to going back to when I used to have Linux Mint installed on my computer. You know, that was right before they really started to kick that off. But still, even if I can get games working, my current editing software, I have been using Sony Vegas for the longest of times. You know, ever since I stopped using Windows Movie Maker. That's the editing software I use of choice. It's the one I know. But it doesn't run nice on Linux. You can barely use it properly. I have tried many years ago, and it probably is not much better today. So what are my options is technically learning something else. Like I've been looking into possibly giving DaVinci Resolve a go. If I want to edit videos as proficiently as I do now, I need to relearn a completely different software in order to do that. It doesn't sound too much fun to me. You know, there are all these other different softwares, like how I play my music, how I record my audio, software for my microphone. I am 100% certain they do not have software for my external sound card that works on Linux. It's not going to be just a straight swap. And that's a little bit of a problem, because if you've dedicated like almost your entire life onto Windows, onto Microsoft, and it requires a lot for you to just move over to the other side. You know, there might not be that much of greener pastures. I'm not saying Linux is bad. You know, it's really good. It has its purpose. But for an average Joe, if I may call it that myself, an average Joe that's been doing his own thing and using Windows for the longest of times, this is a really tricky situation to be in. Because I'm nearing the end of an era here where I'm almost coming to the conclusion that the only way out of this and be able to use a computer as my computer, the way I want to use it, and in order to make it a case where the playster becomes completely infused with my own skin and then I have to rip it off. You know, it's good, like I need to rip off the band-aid now in order to make the move hurt less later. I still got an entire year though. You know, I still got over an entire year and a half even, before end of support ends for Windows 10. So it's not like I'm in a super rush or anything like that. But I think I need to open my eyes and open my horizons. And I'm pretty sure there are other people that made a move many years ago. You know, I've read comments on, you know, you can go anywhere. You can go on fucking Reddit or whatever. You know, there are people praising Linux very much. And I think it's good for them. You know, I'm happy that people found their solution to their problems and they managed to make the move. Even if they decided to like, hey, I'm going to move to Mac OS. I'm happy here. Yeah, I am glad for you guys. But I don't think I would be happy on Mac OS and using a Mac. Absolutely not. And right now, or last time I tried, I wasn't very happy being on Linux either. And I stuck around with Windows. And I've been really happy here. Things have been working. But yeah, just to clarify, it's not necessarily only about just having a local account. But it has been a big part. Because when I start up, when I press that button on the PC, you know, when I sit my ass down after a long day, or even just an off day when I'm free, like the first thing I do if I hop on the computer, there's something about just seeing it load up, getting onto the login screen. If I click on that name and I sign in, all the icons, the background, screensavers, the web browser when I start it up, you know, all those sort of things. It's my extension into my online life, essentially. And my online life is not my normie outside working in real life. It has treated me well over the years, to most extent. You know, it has made me and turned me into the person I am. And it also taught me that I don't want it to be just a plain copy of my real life self. I really want to use it to make my life richer in a different way. And everyone doesn't think the same way. I get that. But having a multi-billion-dollar company just track you via an email on your actual hardware, on your computer, just doesn't sit very well with me. And I've still taken steps on Windows 10 and similar to avoid having them tracking me as much as they can do. I think some of you guys might be in a similar position, where you might need to make a decision soon, whether it is 1 year from now, or 2 years from now, or maybe even more. You might need to find a different way to do it. You might need to move over to Linux or something similar, because the era of Windows, I think it's dying. You know, we are going to have a place where Microsoft is going to be a subscription service. You are going to pay them monthly, sign into your account. You're going to have all your stuff there. You're going to have ads served to you. It's going to be more of a closed ecosystem. That's the way we're moving. And that's also what they intended. That's where we can see it. It's not hard. Just take Windows 7 up till now, Windows 11, and you can see the changes in front of your eyes. This is not like an end of the world or anything. We have options. But if you're really stuck in the Windows operating system, you might need to be prepared for a thing or two. And it's not like I'm bringing you any sort of words of wisdoms right now. It's just some things that I've been thinking a lot about lately myself. And the way I use the computer, and how much I use the computer, and how dedicated I've been to Windows over all these years. They've really been breaking our trust lately. Not even mine, but like everyone's. And I really think that we're nearing an end of an era here. There are probably more things that I can say about this entire thing, but I don't really know how to say it well, or what I would want to say to you guys that would really make your life or your day much more richer. I appreciate anyone that's been tuning into this and listening, and I hope you have a nice day. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.